You've seen the Instagram reels, the boats, the beaches, the Brickell happy hours, but moving to South Florida, that's a whole different beast. And in 2025, it's shaping up to be like anything we've seen before. What used to be a sleepy winterscape is now a full-blown migration magnet. And if you're thinking about making the move, or you've already started packing the boxes, there's some stuff you seriously need to know. And we're talking skyrocketing insurance rates, secret pockets with insane value, the neighborhoods locals love and fight over, and the ones that they truly avoid like the plague. And trust me, if you make the wrong move here, it's not just an expensive mistake, it's a lifestyle mismatch that'll hit you harder than the summer humidity, trust me. So buckle up, because we're not doing just a sunshine and sales pitch video. This is a real boots on the ground breakdown of what it's like to live in South Florida right now. So why are so many people suddenly moving to South Florida? It's not hype, it's actually real. People from New York, Chicago, California, and even internationally, like places of Argentina and Colombia, are showing up in waves. And this isn't just about its retirees looking for a quiet place to land. The new wave looks completely different. High-income earners chasing tax relief, families searching for a better lifestyle, and remote workers escaping the cold winters and big city burnout. Finance and tech professionals are relocating to an area that's now a magnet for money and opportunity. They're coming for the zero state income tax, but they're staying for the lifestyle. This is boating in the middle of the week, dinners outdoors in December, and a work from home view that includes palm trees and ocean breezes. But what most people don't realize is that this demand has completely changed the landscape. New construction is everywhere, especially in condos. Inventory is limited and rentals are competitive. And homes with the right features like impact windows, newer roofs, and updated interiors are really flying off the shelves. And I've personally worked with families and professionals who are leaving major metros because they want more space, better weather, and a just different pace of life. Some are starting families, others are finally buying their dream home. And many of them had no idea what to expect until they actually got here. And almost every time I hear the same thing: I wish I knew all of this before we moved. And that's exactly why I'm making this video. Because South Florida isn't one size fits all. What works for one person might be a complete miss for someone else. And if you know what to look for, you can avoid a lot of the costly mistakes that most people make. And if you're sitting there thinking, this actually sounds exactly what I've been looking for, you're not alone. And my team and I help people just like you make the move to South Florida every single day. From first calls to final closings, we know the pockets, the lifestyle shifts, and the behind the scenes stuff that most people don't even think to ask. So if you're considering even just making the move, shoot me a message, no pressure, just real talk to help you figure out what fits for you. Now that you know who's coming and why they're staying, let's talk about the day-to-day life that actually goes on here in South Florida. Living in South Florida doesn't look the same from one zip code to the next. You've got the sleek vertical energy of Brickell with the rooftop lounges, valet-only condo towers. Just an hour north, Boca offers a completely different pace. Think walkable streets, open-air restaurants, golf carts, and golf courses galore. Lined up outside wine bars, beach bars, and then there's Fort Lauderdale, which really splits the difference: waterfront dining, nightlife scene, and neighborhoods that really feel like home. The best way to explain it is South Florida isn't just one vibe. It's 5 or 6 overlapping lifestyles that all happen to exist in the same region. Then you get to pick your flavor. This variety shows up in the food scene, where Miami's leading the charge with fusion restaurants, Michelin star restaurants, and world-class sushi spots backed by celebrity chefs. Fort Lauderdale's Las Olas area is exploding with new openings from Mediterranean restaurants to upscale steakhouses. Then Boca's clean, polished, and full of old money elegance. While Pompano and Lighthouse Point are more local, hidden gem territory. And yes, there are still places where you can grab a Cuban coffee for $2 or find a mom and pop seafood shack that's been around for decades. The reason this matters is because most people move here thinking they want the beach when they really want a lifestyle that matches their personality. Some want the city energy and status, others want backyard cookouts, the pool, and neighbors who actually wave back to them. The smartest move is to figure out before you choose where to live. So if you're wondering what it feels like day to day, it's not just sunshine and palm trees, well, most days actually are, but it's about how the sunshine fits into your morning routine, your weekend plans, and the community you build around it. Now, coming up next, we'll break down the events, festivals, and cultural anchors that really shape life down here all year round. If you think life in South Florida is just beaches and brunch, you're really missing out on the real heartbeat of this place. The region moves fast, but it's also known to throw an event or a party or two. Every month in the city, something big is going on. Miami kicks off Art Basel every December, and that's when the city really turns into the center of art, fashion, and the tech universe for 1 week of intense galleries, private parties, and over-the-top installations. Right after that is a South Beach wine and food festival where top chefs, food influencers, and wine brands really take over the city. Then you've got Ultra, and this festival brings tens of thousands of people to downtown Miami. And then Fort Lauderdale hosts Tortuga, which is probably one of the biggest country music festivals on the beach in not only Florida, but probably the US. And in between there's food truck rallies, boat shows, cultural festivals, celebrating everything from the Caribbean to Italian heritage. Delray has the Delray Affair, a massive outdoor arts and crafts festival that pulls people across the state. West Palm has Sunfest, a waterfront music festival with acts that range from alternate to hip hop, and Coral Gables lights up Miracle Mile every December with holiday events, parades, and community markets. Beyond the big events, South Florida is definitely a sports town, and not in a casual way. The Heat hold it down at the Kaseya Center, the Dolphins pack Hard Rock every Sunday during football season, and the Florida Panthers, which are still NHL Stanley Cup champs, made it deep into the playoffs this year and are on another run. Then there's Inter Miami with Messi now on the roster. They've made soccer actually exciting and people want to go to the games. The people show up and the energy is legit. There's a rhythm to life down here that outsiders don't always catch, from rooftop networking events in Brickell to morning yoga on the sand in Fort Lauderdale. The lifestyle runs deeper than it looks. This mix of major events, local community events and energy, and a full calendar of things to do means your weekends here don't blend together. You're not looking for something to just fill the time in the white space. You're deciding what to skip because there's just way too much going on at once. Now that we've covered how the culture shapes daily life, let's talk about the physical side of the change, the buildings going up here, the neighborhoods that are shifting, and the development that's truly driving the demand. If you haven't looked up lately, you might be missing the transformation. South Florida's skyline is evolving, and it's not just about height, it's about ambition, luxury, and a redefinition of urban living. In Miami's Brickell district, the landscape is being reshaped by a series of high-profile developments. The Residences at 1428 Brickell is set to become a 70-story luxury condo tower featuring 189 exclusive residences designed by Arquitectonica. Each unit boasts a private elevator access, expansive living space, catering to discerning buyers seeking both comfort and prestige. Adjacent to this, the Mercedes-Benz Places project is underway, the first Mercedes-Benz branded building in all of North America, promising a 67-story mixed-use tower that combines residential units with premium amenities. This development reflects the trend of integrating lifestyle brands into residential spaces, offering residents a unique blend of luxury and convenience. Further north into Fort Lauderdale, it's booming. The downtown master plan outlines a vision for a vibrant urban center, emphasizing mixed-use developments, enhancing public spaces, and improving the transportation options. This plan aims to create a more walkable and livable downtown, expanding from Las Olas, attracting both residents and businesses. One notable project in Fort Lauderdale is on Bell, a 43-story residential tower that is going to begin construction, bringing 775 fully furnished units to Fort Lauderdale with over 100,000 square feet of indoor and outdoor amenity space. Not to mention, it's also going to have Fort Lauderdale's first Equinox downstairs. These developments are not just architectural feats, they represent a shift in how people live and work in South Florida. The integration of residential, commercial, and recreational spaces reflects the move towards a more holistic urban environment. As we continue to witness these change, it's clear that South Florida is not only growing vertically, but it's also evolving in its approach to urban planning and a lifestyle integration. If there's one thing people underestimate before moving to South Florida, it's how transportation shapes your daily life. This is a car-first region at the end of the day. You're not hopping on a subway or strolling 5 blocks to everything like you would in New York. But that doesn't mean things haven't evolved. Let's start with the Bright Line. This is the high-speed rail that connects Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Boca, West Palm, and now even Orlando. And the plan is to eventually reach Tampa. For anyone commuting between cities, the Bright Line is a game changer. It's fast, clean, offers Wi-Fi, snacks, there's even a premium lounge. If you're living near a Bright Line station, your options for work, travel, and lifestyle expand dramatically. In areas like Brickell and downtown Miami, you'll find a little bit more walkability thanks to the growing infrastructure and mixed-use developments. Same goes for parts of Fort Lauderdale, near Las Olas, and Flagler Village. Developers are deliberately designing neighborhoods where people can walk to work, shop, dine, and unwind. Bike lanes have also expanded, especially in more progressive areas like the Grove and Midtown. But here's the honest truth. You're living in a single-family home west of 95, you're going to be driving almost everywhere. On the highway side, 95 remains the main artery. It's busy, often frustrating, but unavoidable for most. If you're commuting from areas like Coral Springs or Pembroke Pines into Miami or Fort Lauderdale, you're going to need to plan your mornings accordingly. And while public transit systems like the Tri-Rail and city buses do exist, they're not replacing your car anytime soon. They're supplemental at best. The key takeaway is this: where you choose to live will have a massive impact on how you move, and that movement affects your time, your budget, and your lifestyle. Living next to the Bright Line station or in a walkable neighborhood might cost more up front, but for many people, the payoff in convenience and the quality of life is worth every single penny. But here's where it gets interesting. Some of the best places to live in South Florida aren't the ones you see trending on TikTok or Instagram. They're the ones the locals fight to keep quiet, so let's talk about those. Now let's get into the stuff that the brochures leave out, the places where locals actually live, eat, and unwind. Because if you're thinking about making South Florida home, you need more than a beach and a nice kitchen. You need to know where life actually happens. So let's start with the neighborhoods. Like that of Coral Ridge in Fort Lauderdale, we've got wide streets, waterfront homes, the golf course, and even the yacht club, and it's a quick drive to the beach, but none of the chaos that comes with living in the middle of nightlife. Then there's Lighthouse Point, which is a hidden gem. Tucked between Deerfield and Pompano, it's perfect for boaters, families, and locals who have been living here for decades. No high-rises, no tourists, just a true residential pocket right there on the water that feels like home. Over Miami, Coconut Grove has that old-school charm, mixed with new money, huge trees, walkable streets, and a community that still feels like a neighborhood, even with luxury condos slowly creeping in. Same goes with the Gables, or as it's called, Coral Gables, where the homes are classic and the lifestyle's polished without being flashy. I lived here in a heartbeat. These areas don't get plastered all over social media, and that's exactly why people love them. They're not trying to be something they're not. They're lived in, full of character, and offer a sense of a place you don't always find in the more hyped up parts of town. Then there's the quality of life. One of the best kept secrets down here is what happens between the months of pretty much April to November. You're outside almost every day, the weather is perfect, it's a little hot, the tourists haven't overrun everything yet, and it's quiet in the best ways and also busy in the right ways. Now you start to realize this time is the time when South Florida really flexes. Locals know where to get a $12 lunch special that'll beat anything in a 5-star hotel. They know the coffee window that's open 24/7, like that of Dandy Donuts, the beach access with free parking, and that kind of knowledge only comes with being here. But it's what makes living here feel more like a home than just a postcard. And while all of that sounds like a dream, there's one part of life in South Florida that still catches newcomers off guard. It shows up in your clothes, your AC bill, sometimes your attitude. You think you're ready for it until you live through it. Now a weather reality check. Everyone loves to talk about the sunshine, and yeah, it's real. South Florida winters are what the rest of the country truly dreams about. We're out here in February, walking the dog in a t-shirt, probably tank top, while our friends are up north shoveling snow. That part never gets old. But here's the other side. Summers down here hit different. We're talking about heat, humidity, and daily afternoon storms that roll in like clockwork. Walk outside at 2 p.m. in July, and it feels like you just opened the oven door. Shirts are soaked, sunglasses fog up, your car turns into a sauna, and it doesn't let up well into October. Locals know how to work around it: early morning workouts, late dinners, and a healthy addiction to cold brew or energy drinks. You learn which restaurants blast AC, which errands can wait until sundown, and Sundays turn into pool days, boat days, or even mall days. Whatever gets you out of the heat without locking yourself inside all weekend is the way to go. Then there's hurricane season. Officially, it runs from about June to November, but the peak season hits late summer into early fall, and South Florida hasn't taken a direct major hit in years. Honestly, the last time we had one, I was in middle school. But the close calls keep everyone on alert. You'll stock up on water, fill up your gas tank, and know how to get to the Home Depot lumber aisle way too well. It's part of the culture here, stressful at times, but it also brings the neighbors together at the end of the day. The good news though, that homes are built to handle it. Impact windows, elevated construction, and strict building codes that make a huge difference. Still, it's something every new resident needs to be mentally and financially prepared for it. Not every sunny day comes without a warning, but what might hit you harder than a pop-up storm is something you won't notice until you go to get a quote on that dream house. That's the insurance numbers. They don't lie, and they're not always friendly. If you're moving to South Florida from out of state, here's a dose of reality that most people don't see coming. It's not the hurricanes that'll rattle you, it's the insurance bill that shows up after you've already fallen in love with a house. Let's get one thing straight. Hurricanes are just a part of life here. The last major direct hit on some cities was over a decade ago. But we get close calls all the time, and when a storm does spin up in the Atlantic, your phone starts buzzing for hurricane parties. I know, sounds weird, but locals know how to prep: water, flashlights, plenty of alcohol, generators. If you're in a single family home though, but we don't panic because every time the Weather Channel changes the graphic, it's not uncommon for people to just use it as a mini vacation at the end of the day. The bigger issue is how all of that weather history impacts your wallet. Insurance rates in South Florida are no joke, and they're not standard. They vary widely depending on the age of the home, location, whether it's east of west of 95 in the intercoastal, how old the roof is, the windows, everything. A home built in the early 2000s with no upgrades, expect a hefty premium. A newer build or fully renovated property with impact windows and a newer roof, it's your best shot at keeping manageable costs. Think costs around $2,500 to $4,500. Condos are a different story. Newer towers, especially those built past 2005, insurance is included with your HOA fees, so that's a nicer thing. You're only responsible for the interior. This could be a major financial win for people who want luxury with fewer maintenance headaches. Still, this is where a lot of buyers get surprised. That monthly payment they budgeted for suddenly jumps up several hundred, or in some cases, several $1,000s a year because of insurance and assessments. It's not fun, but it's real. And it's why working with someone who understands the difference between $1 million house and $1 million headache truly matters at the end of the day. Of course, understanding the cost is only half the battle. You also need to know what you're getting for your money at the end of the day. And in South Florida, that $500K budget will take you somewhere completely different depending on which city that you're looking at. South Florida isn't just one housing market. It's a patchwork of hyper-local submarket, each moving at its own speed with different prices, inventory, and competition. What you can afford and where you'll find value all depends entirely on how well you understand these local patterns. Let's break it down by price point. With a budget around $500,000, you're likely looking at a smaller single-family house in western Broward County communities like Coral Springs, Davie, or even parts of Plantation. These are family-friendly areas, relatively quiet, and offer solid schools. Homes in this range usually include 3 bedrooms, a yard, sometimes a pool, but most will need a little bit of updating. Options are limited though. Only about 2% of active listings fall in that $400,000 to $500,000 price point across Miami-Dade. Bump the budget up to $750,000 to about $1 million, and you'll see more variety, especially in Boca or East Fort Lauderdale. This opens the door to renovated townhomes, newer construction, and even some single-family homes east of 95. In Miami, the number puts you squarely in condo territory. 1 or 2 bedroom units in Brickell, Edgewater, or Midtown, often with high-end amenities, ocean views, and great walkability. Demand is strong in this tier, especially for properties that show well and require minimal work. Cross the $2 to $2.5 million threshold, and you enter into South Florida's luxury tier. This is where you'll find waterfront estates, private docks, branded residences like the Ritz-Carlton, the Mr. C, and even the Waldorf Astoria, with design-forward homes with automation, wine rooms, rooftop pools, and every amenity under the sun. Buyers here are less focused on square footage and more dialed into lifestyle, exclusivity, and long-term appreciation. Now let's talk about the product type. Condos dominate the Miami market. Median condo prices in Miami-Dade are around $455,000 in early 2025, but that's only part of the picture. Newer buildings are holding or gaining value. Older ones, especially those built before 2000, are seeing some price drops due to rising maintenance costs, special assessments, and tougher financing requirements. Now on the single family side of things, inventory is tight in areas like Weston, Boca, and Coconut Creek. Homes that are fully updated and move-in ready get scooped up pretty quickly, especially if they're east of 95 or near some of these strong school zones. Demand is steady, but the supply crunch continues to push prices up in the coastal and commuter-friendly neighborhoods. The big question most buyers have is simple: what am I actually getting for the money? And that's where it gets interesting, because while some neighborhoods have already hit peak prices, others are just sitting under the radar, and you won't see them featured on national real estate lists, but the people who know this market are watching them closely. Everybody wants the deal, the value buy, the home that feels like a steal in a market full of headlines about rising prices and low inventory. The truth, this opportunity still exists in South Florida. You just have to know where to look. Let's start with the areas that are close to growth, but are not quite saturated. Pompano is a perfect example, or some people are calling it Pompeous. Just kidding, only a few people have called it, like myself. But with massive investments in its restaurants, the beachfront, the downtown, even the Pomp, it's not the same city that it was just 5 years ago. People who bought here before the wave have already seen big gains, and even today, compared to Fort Lauderdale, Miami, or even Boca, it's still relatively undervalued. Dania is another one to watch. Close to the airport, sandwiched between Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and Hollywood, and it's still flying under the radar for a lot of out-of-state buyers, investors, and first-time home buyers alike. And they're picking up single-family homes here while the pricing window is still open. In Miami, neighborhoods like Alapata and Little River are drawing massive attention. They sit next to higher priced areas like Wynwood, the Design District, Edgewater, and developers are already planting flags. You won't find these luxury buildings yet, but for people who can see around the corner, these are the kinds of neighborhoods that can yield serious long-term upside. Condo buyers also have leverage right now in 2025, if they're strategic. Older buildings, especially those with upcoming assessments for current assessments, are seeing some price drops that's scaring off most of the buyers. But if you're prepared to hold, or if you're good with working with a real estate team that can negotiate around the risk, there are some serious discounts available. In Broward and Palm Beach counties, median condo values have dropped almost 13% from their 2022 peaks. The key is doing your homework. Know what's being built nearby, checking city planning documents, understanding how transit lines like the Bright Line, local rezoning efforts could shift demand over the next few years. That's how the smart money plays in this market, not by chasing the flash, but by being one step ahead of it and buying. And while spotting a deal is exciting, what matters even more is knowing how to live here the right way. Because if you're going to spend your time and money in South Florida, it should feel worth it every single day. So now you got the real picture, not just the palm trees and the sunshine, but the full breakdown of what it's actually like to move to South Florida in 2025, the lifestyle, the costs, the challenges, and even the hidden gems. Everything most people wish they knew before making the leap. Whether you're relocating for work, chasing the weather, or finally making that dream move to the coast, the decision isn't just about finding a house. It's about building the life you actually want to live. And that's where we come in. My team and I work with people just like you every single day, from New York to California and even internationally. From first-timers to seasoned investors, we help buyers navigate this market the smart way. We know the pockets that are growing, the buildings that are holding value, and the neighborhoods that actually feel like home at the end of the day. It's not just a vacation. So if you're thinking about making a move, or you've already started the process but want some local insight before you commit, reach out to us. You can call us, text us, email, whatever's easiest for you. All of our info is in the description and on the screen. We'd love to hear your story and learn about your goals to help you find the right fit in a place that's way more than just the beaches and the sun and boating. South Florida has a lot to offer. Let's make sure you get the version that works for you. And hey, if you're still figuring out where in South Florida fits your lifestyle best, check out some of the other videos on our channel, from neighborhood deep dives to lifestyle breakdowns. There's a lot more that'll help you make the right move. Your perfect fit might be just one click away.